to introduce you.
Okay.
Hello and welcome back to Talking Your Walk, and now I've got the wonderful Suzanne McGill with me. Now, many of you know Suzanne around the Telford, Shifnal area and as well throughout Shropshire. Suzanne is the partner, founder and one of the directors of Jehandra Ltd, and we're going to find out more about how she got from where she was born right through to how she's now a director of Jehandra. So hello Suzanne and welcome, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
You know, what kind of child were you? Where were you brought up? Were you brought up in Shropshire or elsewhere?
No, I was born in St Helens. Mum was Liverpudlian. My dad was working in Pilkinson's Glass at the time in St Helens. And when I was 5, they moved the family right to North Wales. So I grew up in Abergele and Towyn near Rhyl. And I grew up there along the beach. So that was really quite nice to have my school dinners on the beach with my mum in her little imp watching the tide. And she'd only done that, you know, because she couldn't afford school dinners at the time. But we thought it was absolutely wonderful that we could do that.
Oh, that sounds fabulous, doesn't it? Sitting having your dinner at the beach, that's wonderful.
Well, at 5 years old and 6 years old, then yeah, it was a treat.
So then how did you, then what sort of child were you? As you know, were you a creative child or an academic child, or, you know, were you quiet or extrovert? What kind of child were you?
I wasn't extrovert. I suppose I was pretty quiet as well, because my mum and dad were both English. They didn't understand Welsh at all, but they put us into a Welsh primary school. So I suppose I was a little bit disruptive to start off with, because I didn't understand the language. I remember the days that I stood outside the classroom absolutely crying my eyes out because I didn't know or understand what was going on. So I haven't really been extrovert. I've had to, face challenging times, I suppose, where I've had to say something, you know, when your back's against the wall. But I don't like confrontation, really. I'm quite a gentle type of person. Very creative. I was very good at drawing, very good at making my own kind of like, I'm going to say, my own ideas. When my mum gave me my own bedroom for the first time, I would decorate it. I would then put a chair in the side of the bed with a bowl on it. So that was my vanity unit and what have you. So I was always quite creative, I'm going to say, with colours and different things like that. So, yeah.
And then how did you, you know, what did you do when you left school? Did you go away to study or did you stay where you were?
I couldn't actually wait to leave school, to be honest. I didn't like it at all. In the summer times, with us being on a coastal area, we were able to go in the summertime to help in the cafes or the gift shops. So at the age of 14, I was working in a gift shop at the Easter holidays and in the summer holidays, right through really until starting school again in the September. So yeah, I'd be working. So I'd been working in a cafe, working in a gift shop, and I did like the gift shops. I would help my nana cleaning caravans right at an early age, before 13, where I could start working. So I've always really been busy, always been busy. Yeah. So when I left school, I wanted to go into a bank. I wanted to learn about business studies and things like that. I went to the college and they said to me that the books would cost, I don't know exactly how much, but it was extortionate, and my mum and dad couldn't afford that. I mean, my first wages when I was about 13 or 14 went on school in uniform, ready for the September. So it was really quite hard. So yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left school, so I went straight into a youth opportunity program at that time, because I wanted to go into the bank, like I said, but they wanted 5 O levels, and I thought, right, okay, I'd got 6, but at the time I left school, in 1980, they wanted cleaners with O levels, so I didn't get into that job that I wanted. So I tried 2 youth opportunity programs. One was with the hospital in an X-ray department. The next 6 months after that was in an architect's office. I tried then to go into retail. That didn't last long. It was real market. Didn't like that at all. And then I started a job in the factory. It was a shirt making factory in Denby at the time. And they said to me then that with the O levels I'd got, I could go into supervision. All I needed to do really was to work at the machine, so that I knew right from, you know, the basics of the structure of a shirt and make it up. So it didn't take me long until I actually got from that situation to supervisory position. Then they educated me, went to college, and from there I went into quality, and then I got married. So Scott was in the RAF. He's been in the RAF for 25 years. So we actually moved. So we came to Cosford for the first time.
So that must have been a big change from you as well, going away from, you know, the coastal areas of North Wales into Cosford and into on the outskirts of Telford, which is, you know, a new city as such at that time as well. So how did you cope with that change?
It was really quite hard, because I had a family. I had my sisters and my mum and dad with me. Next door, we had my auntie and uncle. Round the corner, I had my nan and granddad. I had my other auntie and uncle and my cousins as well round the corner. And every birthday, we used to get together and, you know, celebrate that occasion. So it was really quite hard to come away from that and be in a place where there's just yourself and your husband, where your husband had that life of RAF. And he would still go into the pubs and stay there till about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'd still be at home trying to make a home. And at the time I didn't have a job either. I just walked away from that because there was all sorts of other things going on. And I thought, no, I'm not having this. So I actually went round to the club and banged on the window and I said, "Is Scott McGill in there, please? And can he come out? Because I'm not having this." It got to a routine, you see, where that's what he was doing before we got married, and he thought that he could continue to do that, and I really didn't like it. I didn't like the person that it made him, you know, after too much alcohol. It just made me sick. So yeah, I put my foot down then, I think.
And so what sort of work did you do? Did you find some work in Shropshire, you know, and how did you get into a holistic path?
Right. Okay, so I was making shirts. Then I had my own section in the shirt factory, and then I went into making a lot of clothes for myself. I made my own bridesmaids dresses. I made my friends' bridesmaids dresses, and I was into a lot of crafts at the time as well. So I was making toys for my little cousins. So I left Denby and then said, you know, to people, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to go into like toys or craft or something like that. But I found that really quite hard, trying to sell the things at the price that I was putting into it, because they looked absolutely gorgeous, but they wanted it at like a wholesaler's price, whereas I wasn't ready to commit that time and effort to make these things and let somebody else take the profit for them. So I ended up going into a factory back into a factory making dungarees, t-shirts and things like that for mother care, and also for Marks and Spencer's. When I became pregnant, then I went into the design element of the factory, and they showed me how to make patterns. They showed me how to make the measurements and take sleeves off this bit and add it to that bit. I was designing clothing because of, you know, my tummy was getting bigger, but I said, I've still got a pair of boobs. I've still got legs. You know, I don't like, and what was going on at that time was these tent dresses with white little collars and a ribbon. And I thought, I don't like those whatsoever. So I decided that, you know, it's only the middle of me that's blooming. So I designed a dress that was short sleeved. Yes, it was quite close to the neck, but it allowed me to kind of like bloom on the middle, but then it had like a little tight skirt at the back with a little kick pleat at the back. So it brought me back in again. So I thought I felt quite fashionable in that. Showed my legs. So when I did have my son, my first son, I did go into Shropshire, Telford Enterprise, and started my own business then, dressmaking. So I had my own business dressmaking then for about 6 years when the kids were little. So I went into bridal gowns, went into ball gowns, because Scott was in the RAF, like I said. So there was a lot of people who wanted ball gowns and long dresses, but didn't really want to pay, you know, the prices that the shops were charging. So I would make these dresses out of fabric that you could actually put in the washing machine and hang dry them. So that was quite nice to do that. Also the design as well, I'd got patterns. If they didn't want that pattern, we could mix and match other things. So that's where my creative juices got going, really, into designing new things for new people. And then I got my second son, and then we got changed. Yeah, we got posting. So we went to Halton in Buckinghamshire then. So I had to give up everything and just go. Yeah, so that was.
How did you feel? How did that make you feel?
I was gutted. Absolutely gutted, because I had a 2.5-year-old son and a 6-month-old son, and I had my childminders, and I'd work in the morning, and I have the kids in the afternoon, and then when Scott came home, we all had tea round the table, and then Scott would bath them, put them to bed, and then I'd start sewing again. So I'd be sewing till about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And what was nice was seeing the girls all dressed up in the dresses that I'd made going out that night. But Scott was not of a rank that we could join them either. So it was quite weird to be, you know, part of that, but not going to the actual events. So yeah, we got posted. Well, he's my husband, isn't he? So I've got to go. You know, I love my husband, I love my children, so off we went. Oh, the house was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. We'd left a standard of occupation that was new bathroom, new kitchen, and then we went to RAF Halton, and it was still back in the 70s or the 60s, with painted cupboards, with paper on the shelves to make it tidy. There was a separate toilet and bathroom, and the bath was really an old enamel bath. Yeah, so we had 6 years there, and my daughter came along, and I thought, oh no, here we go again. I thought, oh, what are we going to do? She wasn't planned, bless her. But yeah, well, you adapt, don't you? You adapt. Because I just thought, well, we just got our little family on our lives, and I'd got back into the sewing, and I was doing really well. But I just saw her there the one day in her baby walker, and she was pulling on the curtains, but that's where I had a bridal gown up there, and I thought, no, this is not good enough. And in those times as well, there wasn't a lot of money coming in. And in Buckinghamshire, you couldn't buy or rent anywhere. It was just really, really expensive. So I had to give it up. I had to give it up. So I went into nursing instead.
So that's another big change again, isn't it? Huge change.
Big. Yeah, very big change.
So,
yeah, so I was working all the hours until the morning, but my friend round the corner, she got 3 daughters and I'd got my 3. And we used to swap and change when we looked after the kids. But then she said to me, do you know, Suzanne, I'm working in an old people's home and I can get £70 a night. Well, I'd have to work 2 weeks for that. So I thought, oh, well, that'll bring some money in. So I went into nursing. So I donned on the uniform and I went to meet these old people and I thought, oh my goodness me, I don't know anything about old people. I don't, but you know, you learn as you go along, don't you? And the thing is that they were so grateful for what you did for them, you know, the physical care, the social care. They were so appreciative, just having somebody to talk to. And that really was quite humbling. So then that started another 6 years then in social care, for me in particular, yeah.
so how did you end up back in Shropshire?
At the time then, Scott came home again and said, oh, we've been posted, but at least I've got a choice this year. We can either go back to Cosford because that's where his training role was, or we could go to Lossiemouth at the upper end of Scotland. And I said, I don't want to go to Scotland because I'm a bit of a home bird, you know. So travelling 9 miles to see my mum and dad on the, not 9 miles, like 9 hours travelling to see my mum and dad, or to see Scott's mum and dad, because they were still in North Wales. We said, no, we'll go back to Cosford. So we came back to Cosford, yeah. So we've actually bought a house now from, I'd say it's about 800 metres from the RAF accommodation down the road. So yeah, we saw this house. I mean, we spent 2 years looking for a house to buy. And in the end, we settled here in Albrighton because, again, you've got the good routes for the trains, you've got the schools were good, the activities for the children, like rainbows, the scouts, the cubs, the football clubs, the running for Rebecca, because they're all quite sporty. So everything was here on the doorstep, really. We could have moved just in a wheelbarrow. We're bringing some of the furniture that we've got round the corner. So yeah, that was another big move, because at the time, you know, I had gone into social care. I'd done my NVQs. I'd got to a place where I was in a supervisory position. I was then supervisor, come trainer to some other people, and I'd become a manager of the respite centre in a place called Catherine Knapp in High Wycombe. And I'd got my car, and that was, at the time, it was about £7 something an hour. Fantastic, really, for what I was doing, and I really enjoyed it. And then Scott says, right, we're going back to Cosford, come to Wolverhampton, had a look at Telford, looked at social care jobs there. And there was nothing around, really, other than taking cleaning jobs, kitchen assistant jobs. And they were all jobs where I had to put Rebecca in nursery as well. And they were jobs at £2.50 an hour, which was a big difference. When you're paying for a car as well, I nearly lost my car because I thought there's no way I can afford that. But you just get on with it. You know, there's nobody else there that will do it for you. I understood that really when I left home to start off with. The arguments that we used to have as a newly married couple, there's nobody else there to do it for you. You've got to do it. And it's just sticking up for yourself and knowing what you want out of life and just saying, right, okay, it will come. It will come. You just got to work hard at it. So yeah, I had jobs in Sainsbury's, stacking shelves and all sorts, trying to bring the money in. So I can say that looking at my CV, I've done all sorts of jobs.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you then get onto holistics and complementary therapy? Because that's a big change again, isn't it? Really?
It is. It is. Now then, late 80s, I think it was, Mum and Dad had moved. He was made redundant. He'd moved down to South Wales. And my dad had his own business with his brother and sister and a couple of other people. But that was the time where there was lots of, I'm going to say, unemployment. That's where you went into negative equity with your properties. People weren't paying him the money for the goods that he was supplying, because he was doing wooden architraves like door frames and picture frames and things like that, and people weren't paying him. So he would go round to like Nottingham and sit on somebody's desk demanding the money, and he had a heart attack and he nearly lost his life. So Mum then, when we knew he was okay, Mum then said, right, well, we want to, you know, make life less stressful for you, and let's join this meditation group. So the meditation group was affiliated with a church, a spiritualist church. So it helped Dad with his breathing. But then what also happened was that he started to work as a clairvoyant and linking with his spirit guides, to a point where Mum and Dad both went and did the training for spiritual healers. And Dad got to a point where they were doing the rounds, I'm going to say, in all the spiritualist churches around South Wales. So Mum would do a little bit of philosophy on the rostrum, and Dad would go into clairvoyance. And it was only when they were visiting us and I'd say, oh, do you know what, I've got sinus problems, I've got headache problems, my dad would put his hand on my head and then start shaking with the energy that was coming through him, and then said, oh, that should be okay now. And I'm going, what are you doing? And they sort of explained what was going on in their lives at the time, and about meditation and things that they were learning, and talking about spirit guides. And I'm thinking, this is weird. this is on a whole new level. I don't understand what it is you're talking about. So I actually joined, because at the time I was in Buckinghamshire, and I joined the spiritualist church there in Buckinghamshire. And that was a weekly meeting, and it was nice to get out with a friend of mine who also had the same interest, and we became members of the church. And I remember this one time we actually went for a weekend on this workshop of transmediumship, and we were sat in this huge room, and he was doing this demonstration of transmediumship, and this young lad was coming through and talking through him, as well as this old Chinese guy. And I'm going, wow, that's that's weird. But also we had a healing workshop as well, where in my own mind, when we were sending healing to the person in the middle of the circle, I could visualize this spiral of color going towards the person in the middle. And I'm thinking, what? and I was just being used as a channel, you know, for the benefit of that person. So I suppose I've always been one who gives, you know, especially being in social care, and just giving and caring and wanting somebody to be better because, you know, I've been there and done my bit. So that started me on my own meditation. I suppose when I came back to Cosford that time, I was looking for a meditation group, something similar to the one that I'd just left in Aylesbury. And I found one in Newport, and the teacher there, she was there saying, you could be a healer as well as doing your meditation. And I thought, well, how do I do that? So she said, well, just stand behind somebody and just go with the intention. Just put your hands on their shoulders and just, you know, wish them that they be sustained in mind, body and spirit. So that's what I did for a little bit. We did it in turns. And that's when I think I came to you then, June, looking for Reiki healing, because that was like early 2000s. So yeah, be about on my certificate now for my Reiki one, that was 2003.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, 2003. And the meditation has always helped me with, you know, all the different jobs that I've had. And it's always helped me through all the different changes, and having that conviction of knowing that, you know, this is just a step. It's a stepping stone to get to where you want to get to next. And it was always the case with me. There's always this transition, but knowing that and trusting, really, and that's it, isn't it? Is that trust to know that you're being looked after because I'm giving all the time, but not asking too much money for it. So it's not the exchange of money really for me. It was the exchange of energy and making people feel better. And that's always been the case up until recently, when I took redundancy. Well, I've been redundant a couple of times, but I took redundancy this time on my terms to actually start up in business in the shop with my mom, to do holistic therapies. So we've also got the gift shop, which sells crystals and essential oils, because Mum went on from the spiritualist healing into massage. She went into aromatherapy. And we've always stayed together quite close doing the meditation, especially after Dad passed. And that's when Spirit really got behind us and said, you will start up this business. We was quite taken aback at first, but oh well, we'll go with it, we'll see. And it's still growing now. We've gone into a bigger premises where we can have the healing room. And since I started with you with the Reiki, I did my Reiki 2, my Reiki 3, and then I did Indian head massage. I went into cupping massage. I went into emotional freedom technique. And then I've done body massage and recently done reflexology. So yeah, in the last 5 years before I was made redundant, I was working 2 jobs. I was doing my quality management system for a local business and auditing all of their processes. Then on a Thursday and a Saturday, I'd be in the shop. In the evenings, I would take appointments. And all this was, you know, driven really by, you will have this company, you will have this business. And this business is one that sets about giving healing to people. When people come through the door, you are to give them the knowledge, the understanding, the tools and the techniques to make them better and to help them to feel better. You know, so that's where I've come from.
Wow, what a journey. So now the shop's back open, now that shops can be open, is that right? Have you opened your shop back up again?
Yes, the shop now, it's not in Shifnal High Street. You can't see it from the road itself, which is a bit of a shame. you have to come into the shopping centre, into the mall. We've opened up from 9:30 till 1 o'clock since, you know, the COVID situation.
So
And we need to,
sorry, where's the shop now, Suzanne? Whereabouts are you now?
yeah, we're in Shifnal still. We're just off the high street. So we are just right opposite Peyton's garage, and there's double doors there. We've got a travel agents on one side and a cake sugaring shop on one side, on the other side rather, and then you come into the mall, and there's 11 units in there, and a lot of people from Shifnal will say, gosh, didn't even know this was here. But it's nice to have people come in and say, oh, I was called to come in here. Or people just say, oh, I found you. Just like that, you know, and we know why they're there, but they don't, which is quite nice. So, yes, we've been open now about 2 weeks, just doing mornings at the moment. Can't do hands-on healing at the minute because it's been stopped. And we still don't know when we can open up. The barbers and the hairdressers in the mall, they can open up on the 4th, and we were hoping that we could do the same. But no, we can't do that. So I've got a lot of my clients who are waiting now to come back, which is very nice. But again, I think as a small business, we do need the community to be behind us, because it has been quite hard, you know, to keep it going. Yeah.
And are you doing, I know you do courses, so you teach Reiki now, you teach meditation, you have, you know, a regular meditation class there. What other things are you teaching from there now?
Well, we've had to, again, cease the workshops, but I'm keen to do what we used to call our rainbow workshops, which is, again, teaching people about themselves. So we're not just a physical person, we've got an aura, this energy around us, that we have a chakra system as well. I'm very much about evidence in that, so we use dowsing rods to look at the extent of the aura, and just with somebody just closing their eyes and just shrinking their aura, we can actually, you know, with the dowsing rods, show the before and the after. They open their eyes and they go, oh my word, and I'm saying, yes, just look at that, you know, and they all have a turn standing in the center, and I'm saying, this just shows you the power of thought. So every little thought actually goes out there, you know, and it's out there in the cosmos. So yeah, be careful what you think. So those are little workshops. I've called it We Are Rainbows because of the colors of the chakras, and then we use a pendulum to show the energy levels for the human body, but also the energy within the chakras and what is that doing. And that was a brilliant book that I read. It was Barbara Brennan, Hands of Light. So that's where we've got that pendulum work from. And again, when people hold that pendulum, it's theirs. It's, you know, something that they can put their hands on. When we then get to actual hands-on working with people, because I teach the therapy and then we do the lots of hands-on work afterwards. So when you've got somebody on the bed then, and we're saying, right, okay, rub your hands and then come into the aura, and then we're going to listen and feel and sense that energy level, that is the emotional or the mental or the etheric, you know, and we can feel, and we're looking around the room then, and everybody's at the same level, and we're going, oh my word. And it's so nice to see people's reaction like that, you know. And again, it's the energy field and the chakra system that makes us all holistic. So there's that vibration, isn't there? And it's trying to get that across to people that we're all a vibration, and that, you know, whatever we think will affect that vibration, that well-being of people. So we do those workshops. We've done orb workshops before now, inviting spirit guides to come in and be photographed and caught on camera. That's been exciting as well. Rune workshop, looking at the different symbols and what does that mean to people. Angel card reading. We did have a workshop for, I'm going to say, opening up the thymus chakra with the elementals, the fairies. So again, in the morning, we do a chart and we work with flowers and doing craft work and putting all of this on, inviting Lady Bridget to come in. And again, because I do trance healing, she works through me to then, you know, open up the class. We've worked on opening up the magenta chakra as well with the angelic realm. And then we have had another workshop with Kuan Yin and working with her energies as the whole system then ignites, I'm going to say, with that different brand of healing.
Wow, that's wonderful. You're doing so much. And, you know, if someone watching this wants to contact you, what's the best website address to contact you on?
Well, it's www.Jehandra, which is JEHANDRA.co.uk. We're on Facebook as well, but I think there's only so much you can actually put into the website and onto, you know, Facebook. I suppose in an interview like this, you get a lot more, don't you?
So through all the changes that you've had, if someone was going through similar changes at the moment, what kind of advice would you give them?
And I'd actually have to say stay positive and don't let the pressures get to you. You're going to have a look really at what resources you've got inside of you, and what can you do, you know, when you are right, when your back's right against the wall, what fight have you got? And it is, you know, looking at all of that really, what resources have you got then to actually throw it out there to say, right, you know, I am an individual, I've got a right to be here, and, you know, I've got a purpose, and it's finding what that purpose is. And even if it's baby steps, you know, it's taking those baby steps and making yourself do things that, you know, I think it is quite hard in some respects, but it's just looking at, yeah, what resources have you got? What can you do? Even if it's your own voice or getting out there, you know, and putting yourself out there and saying, right, for me personally, it was a job, and it didn't matter what job it was. Like I said, cleaning ovens in the middle of summer is absolutely horrific job, but it brought the money in, you know.
Well, thank you so much, Suzanne. It's been absolutely brilliant listening to your story and seeing all the changes that you've made through your life, some of them voluntary and some of them involuntary, you know, having to follow your husband and things like that, and, you know, still managing to keep your family together and your marriage.
Yes, we do.
Take them out the pub at 3 in the morning. It just shows, you know, me that, you know, when you're really positive with, even if you've got lots of things going against you, you know, keeping that positivity, knowing, you know, as you say, where you know, what your purpose is, and trying to, you know, just take baby steps and you'll get there eventually. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy, and I hope to see you really soon. So thank you again. Thank you. Take care now.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.